Welcome to Career Biz, the podcast of the University Career Center at UNC Charlotte. I'm Jay.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Jessie.
And I'm Matthew.
And Jessie is our special guest of the day because we're talking about career treks, and specifically our virtual career treks going on this semester. So Jessie, let's just start from the beginning real quick. What is a career trek for students that may be totally new to that process?
Yeah, definitely. So career treks are essentially adult field trips in normal times. And so what that means is we take groups of students to different employers in the greater Charlotte area, sometimes beyond, and we visit these employers for a behind-the-scene tour, an overview of the company or the organization, and usually a career trek includes a panel of a variety of different employees who have different job functions. They talk about their day-to-day responsibilities, kind of what their career path has looked like so far, what it's like to work for that particular employer, and then some opportunity to network. So it's a really cool way to explore different employers, different job functions, industries outside of the classroom, actually experiencing it for yourself in about a 2 to 4 hour visit. So for today's day and purposes, this fall, we are trying something new and we're doing virtual career treks. And I'm really excited. We have 5 on the docket this semester. And so those will look similar in regards to kind of overall process with regards to kind of a behind the scenes tour, overview of the employer, the ability to talk virtually to our host and other employees within their organization, but it's in a much shorter time frame. Nobody wants to hang out on a WebEx or a Zoom call for longer than an hour. So we're typically keeping them to about an hour in the lunch time frame.
So where can people find out where they are? Like, how can you find them on our website?
Great question. So on our main website, career.uncc.edu, you can go down to the upcoming events page and kind of scroll through all those events. I would just do Control find, trek, and that'll pull up all of the treks that are currently coming up. The other really easy way is to just go into Hire a Niner. On the events tab on the left side of the page, go to career events, and same concept, type in trek, and that'll pull up all of the different treks. You'll see a brief description of what we'll be talking about during that time frame, and then also your ability to RSVP and register for the information. Once you do register, we will be sending you a confirmation email with details on the virtual event link, and also a link to our Career Treks webpage that'll talk a little bit more about what to expect on a virtual career trek, how to prepare, and any other questions you might have.
So Jessie, how do you choose those companies?
Great question, Patrick.
Thank you.
Absolutely, you're just a genius. So going off of
It's that doctorate I got. It helps me with good questions.
Nice. Good to know for future reference. Yeah. I try to use similar genius and think, okay, what are some employers that students have indicated an interest in, and or what are some industries that we really want to integrate into as a career center, as a university. So opportunities for students to learn a little bit more. So I try to make sure that the employers that we target each semester, both in the fall and spring, cover a wide variety of potential job functions, industries, so that we're hitting as many students' interests and alumni as well as possible. So those are typically how they're decided upon.
You had an extra pause in there. I thought you were saying you're hitting students, and I was like, whoa, we don't do that.
Promise we're not. No, it's not what we're doing.
Scared me a little bit there.
Jess, can you tell? So I think Siemens is coming up, right? How is
Yes.
So I think it's like Siemens, and who are some of the other employers this semester?
Great question. So our first trek is actually coming up next Tuesday, October 13th with Sealed Air. That one's actually a little bit lengthier than the rest. It's from 11:30 a.m. to 1-ish. We have it going to 1:30. We think it's going to wrap up closer to 1. That one's cool because we're actually partnering with Queens, a university in Charlotte. And so we'll have the opportunity to see some other students outside of our UNT Charlotte population, but they will actually be offering a panel of leaders within Sealed Air to talk through just different opportunities, kind of what their career path has looked like. And then within that hour and a half-ish time frame, we're also going to be breaking up into small breakout sessions, and Sealed Air employees will host each of these breakout sessions that will talk about things like how to develop your pitch, how to be a successful potential employee in a networking setting. So sort of those professional development topics coming from someone who is a successful professional and giving you their perspective and insight. So that's Sealed Air coming up. Matt, to your point, we do have another career track coming up to Siemens, actually that same week. It's a week from Friday, so October 16th. And then a couple more to look out for later, actually in November, are to Goodwill and Ronald McDonald House of Charlotte. So those are some really cool opportunities to learn about, the nonprofit industry, but also the wide variety of job functions that exist within that sector. And then lastly, we have one with Gresham Smith, which is an architecture firm. And I'm really excited about that one. We've actually not done a trek in the past 4 to 5 years with an architecture firm. So that should be pretty cool as well.
One of the things that I love about your Career Treks program is the ability for students to actually meet with employers, which means they're actually going to see you. And if you find interest, you might find a way to apply for an internship and then, of course, get that interview and some really cool things. Jesse, I think it was last year or the year before, maybe 1,000 years ago by now, we did NIH together, right? We took a group of students out to Raleigh and the NIH. And I remember a couple students after that saying that they decided to apply, they got interviews, and it was because they made those connections. So career treks are not just, let's go have fun, but it's actually, if you really want to work at that company or learn about that company, you should probably go. Just saying.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a really cool trek we did a couple springs ago. Yes, 1,000 years ago. I agree with that.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. We went to Raleigh. We spent the night. We had a really cool networking event with alumni in the Raleigh area. And then, the following day we went to NIH. We went to EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. And that was
those
awesome.
are going to come back, right? So once we get through this COVID thing, we'll get back into the car and...
Fingers and toes are crossed. Yes, we'll definitely get back to those overnight treks.
And I know you guys took people to Tennessee. We went down to Georgia. We were planning DC,
Well, we went to DC and Georgia. We were planning Tennessee. So
Patrick,
right. You had it.
Yes.
I got a chance to go to the DC one. That was actually a really cool thing to connect with a lot of alums and stuff. And then also just those organizations and to see the enthusiasm of the students there. And I always have to say that students that go on treks do well when they go in with a little bit of a prepared mindset of like, here are some things I definitely want to know about this organization. I'm going to make sure that I ask. And if by chance they talk about it in the presentation, I'm going to follow up with them on it. So I recommend students that are thinking about going on treks or are going to participate in these treks to definitely do that. Build yourself a quick cheat sheet of questions, keep it up in a notepad on your screen while you're doing the WebEx or the Zoom call, and then just refer to those things and be able to make some good notes along the way. That's one of the cool things about doing this in virtual format is it's not as awkward as try to write everything down or whatever. You can sit there and type it in or type it on your phone if you want to while you're listening and talking.
And have your video on, right?
Yes.
That's
exactly what I was going to say. If you can, you're able to, I strongly encourage you to turn your video on, wear business casual attire, at least, top up so that way you're looking presentable. And then to Jay's point, if you can interact and ask questions, that's going to make you stand out. So these are both conversational, educational events, but again, it's also a great way to make some connections and do a little networking. So it's definitely best practice to research the company or the organization a bit before you attend, come up with a couple of questions, and then afterwards, it would be also a great idea to follow up with a quick thank you note. And usually the employers share their information, so you can
what do you guys think about not only being on video, but like right here, you can see my name. Should we type in our full name and then maybe dash your academic major? I mean, that might be kind of cool, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Maybe.
Academic major, what class level you are, why not?
Yeah.
Hey, Jesse, I wonder, will comments and being able to text chat be available in this Zoom meetings or stuff whenever it's happening?
Yeah, that's a great question, Matt. Definitely. It'll be just like any other webinar class session you've attended virtually, in that you can chat, through the chat function, especially knowing that, sometimes, unfortunately, the internet connection isn't as strong as we want it to be. And so we want to make sure that If you can't, for whatever reason, use audio, use your video, you still have the opportunity to hear, listen, and then participate, even if it's through chat function. Definitely.
Yeah. I was thinking what might be a good idea for students to kind of be prepared is maybe making sure their LinkedIn's updated and having that LinkedIn URL, and then maybe even throwing into the chat to connect with people who are from the company. But then also, I think students forget that the people they're on these treks with, or they're in these events with, they should be connecting with them too, because it's like you have the same interests, so you can maybe help each other down the line. You never know, you know?
That's an excellent point, Matt. And as a matter of fact, I was in a virtual conference last week, and they were talking about that in the conference with everybody that was on it. And they said, if you're not connecting to everybody that's in this meeting right now, you're kind of doing LinkedIn wrong. And I thought, oh wow, that's a great point. So I had to pull up a screen and start doing that. And it's a great way to do. It's just a great way to keep yourself active too, because I think participating in so many of these virtual events, let's be honest, like it can start to feel like class, right? Where it's just like, let me just sit and absorb. And the difference is, and you want to engage in these a little more actively than maybe you would when you're just receiving information, because the companies in a lot of ways are also looking at you, and they want to kind of put out their best foot as well for you to see the coolest things they've got. And they only know that it's working if you tell them or chat to them that it is. So participating like that can just make it a much more eventful and active experience for you. Very cool. Well, I'm excited about these, and I'm glad that we're carrying on with them as we, power through all of the challenges that are 2020. We're just going to keep on keeping on and doing stuff. Again, as Jessie said, you can find out all about virtual treks on our career events list on the website, or better yet, go to Hire Nine or go to the event side under career events, and it's a great way to find it. And Jessie, if folks have questions about it, can they reach out to you
took
directly?
the words out of my mouth, Jay. You knew what I was about to say. Yes, please feel free to reach out to me directly. Feel free to send me an email, jessica.simonik, if you can spell that, or look me up on the on the Career Center website. But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
If they can spell your name correctly, then they'll find you. If not, then oh well.
No one has an excuse to misspell the name. It's on the little bar on the screen right now. It's
Great
right
point, Jay.
So,
Great point.
You can see that. So you'll see it there. Well, all right. Well, Patrick, Matthew, Jessie, thanks for joining me on this episode of Career Bits. Folks, you can find out about all the happenings of the Career Center by following us on our website, career.uncc.edu, or on social media @Niner Careers. Talk to you soon.